It's one of the most famous mysteries in American history, a story that blurs the line between fact and fiction, secrecy and speculation. In the summer of 1947, something crashed in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico. The U.S. military said it was just a weather balloon, but witnesses told another story of metallic wreckage, strange debris, and even alien bodies. For decades, the Roswell incident has fueled questions that refuse to die. Did the U.S. government really find something not of this earth? And if so, how far would they go to hide it? Today, we'll explore what really happened, separating the myth from the mystery, and uncovering why the Roswell story still matters more than 75 years later. The summer of 1947. It was early July, 1947. World War II had ended only 2 years before. The Cold War had just begun. America was entering a new era. Atomic weapons, radar, and rocket science were transforming the world. But something else was happening too. That summer, strange lights began appearing across U.S. skies. Reports poured in from pilots, farmers, and police officers, describing fast-moving, flying discs, unlike anything ever seen. Then, around July 4th, a powerful storm swept through the New Mexico desert near a remote ranch about 75 miles north of Roswell. The next morning, a rancher named Mac Brazel went out to check his sheep and stumbled upon something that would change his life forever. Scattered across the field was a strange debris, shiny metallic strips that wouldn't burn, rubber-like material that couldn't be cut, and small beams with symbols that looked almost hieroglyphic. Brazel didn't know what to make of it. At first, he thought it might be part of an aircraft or a secret government device. But soon, the U.S. military would step in, and the world's first UFO cover-up would begin. The first announcement. On July 8, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a stunning press release. The headline read, "RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." Within hours, the story spread across America. Newspapers everywhere proclaimed, "Army captures flying disc." It was the first and only time the U.S. military had ever used those words publicly. But just 24 hours later, something changed. The Army suddenly retracted the statement. Now they said the debris wasn't from a flying saucer. It was a weather balloon. They even held a press conference, showing photos of soldiers holding ordinary balloon fragments. The officer who first announced the flying disc, Major Jesse Marcel, now stood next to the debris, looking embarrassed. The message was clear. The UFO story was over. Move along. Nothing to see here. But not everyone was convinced. The witnesses speak. In the years that followed, people who had been at Roswell began to talk. Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who first examined the wreckage, said years later that the material was unlike anything he had ever seen, light as paper, but impossible to bend or burn. He claimed the cover-up began immediately, and that the debris shown in the press photos was a substitute, a decoy balloon, staged for the media. Other witnesses told similar stories. Neighbors of Mac Brazel said the military arrived quickly, sealed off the area, and ordered silence. Some even claimed to have seen strange bodies, small humanoid forms being loaded into trucks and flown out of Roswell airfield. Were they lying? Misremembering? Or had they truly seen something beyond this world? The mystery deepened as the government refused to comment further. By the 1950s, Roswell was already becoming a legend, whispered about by UFO enthusiasts and journalists who believed the U.S. military had recovered an alien spacecraft. The cover-up era. The 1950s and 60s were decades of secrecy. As Cold War paranoia grew, so did the UFO phenomenon. Reports of unidentified flying objects exploded over Washington, D.C., over military bases, and even by airline pilots. The government responded with Project Blue Book, an official U.S. Air Force investigation into UFO sightings. But despite collecting over 12,000 reports, the Air Force concluded that most sightings were explainable. Weather, misidentified aircraft, or atmospheric phenomena. And yet, hundreds of cases remained unexplained. Roswell, however, was barely mentioned. The official story, that it had been a weather balloon, remained unquestioned in mainstream circles. But in 1978, everything changed. A nuclear physicist named Stanton Friedman, investigating UFOs, tracked down Major Jesse Marcel. In an interview, Marcel repeated his shocking claim that he had personally handled non-human debris and that the Air Force had covered it up. That interview reignited public obsession with Roswell. Within years, books, documentaries, and testimonies poured out, all claiming that something extraterrestrial had indeed crashed in New Mexico in 1947. The government's explanation. Facing renewed public pressure, the U.S. government finally responded. In 1994, the Air Force declassified documents revealing a new explanation. Roswell had indeed involved a top-secret project, but it wasn't aliens. It was part of Project Mogul, a classified Cold War program that used high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. The debris found by Rancher McBrazel, they said, came from one of these Mogul balloons, built with unusual materials like aluminum foil, rubber, and radar reflectors. The strange hieroglyphs? Likely part of reflective tape used on the radar targets. The alien bodies? According to a later report in 1997, they were crash test dummies from Air Force experiments in the 1950s that locals had misremembered over time. It was a tidy explanation, logical, detailed, and officially documented, but for many, it raised more questions than it answered. Theories and alternative views. Even after 2 official reports, public belief in a cover-up remained strong. Why? Because the timeline didn't add up. The Air Force said the crash dummies were from the 1950s, yet Roswell happened in 1947, and many locals insisted they saw the military remove wreckage and bodies immediately after the crash. Some theorists argue that the Mogul explanation was another layer of obfuscation, a convenient cover for something the government could never admit. That we are not alone. Others take a middle ground, suggesting the Roswell debris might have been from experimental aircraft, possibly German or Soviet technology being tested in secret. Still others point to psychology, that Roswell became a symbol of the post-war mind, reflecting humanity's fears and hopes in an atomic age where science was advancing faster than belief could follow. The modern connection. In the 21st century, the UFO conversation has changed dramatically. The U.S. government now uses a new term, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Declassified Navy videos show pilots tracking objects that move in ways defying known physics. In 2021, the Pentagon officially acknowledged that some UAPs remain unexplained, and in 2023, a whistleblower named David Grush claimed the government holds non-human craft and biological remains in secret programs. Sound familiar? It's Roswell, all over again. More than 75 years later, the same questions persist. What really fell in Roswell? Was it an early Cold War experiment, or the first evidence that we are not alone? And if it was extraterrestrial, what else has been hidden from us? The symbol of Roswell. Regardless of what actually crashed in that desert, Roswell has become something larger than the event itself. It's a mirror, reflecting our endless curiosity about the unknown and our deep distrust of authority. In a world of secrecy, Roswell asks a timeless question. What if the truth really is out there, and we're just not ready to hear it? The Roswell incident birthed modern UFO culture, inspiring books, films, even government investigations. It represents both wonder and fear, the hope that we are part of a greater cosmic community, and the fear that our leaders might be hiding that truth. Maybe the real power of Roswell isn't in what was found, but in what it makes us imagine. Because the more we look to the stars, the more we realize the mystery isn't just out there, it's also within us. Conclusion. The desert outside Roswell is quiet now, but the questions remain, whispered across time, across science, across belief. Did the US government hide the truth about UFOs? Or did Roswell simply expose how little we understand about the universe we live in? If you found this story fascinating, like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Questions channel, where we explore the civilizations, ideas, and mysteries that shaped humanity. Perhaps one day, the truth will emerge. Until then, the Roswell mystery reminds us that secrets have gravity, and the human imagination will always rise to meet them.